Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties. Mhm. Let's see, we have 12 people. Do you think people figure it starts at noon, or what do you think?
That's my guess. Possibly starting at noon. 11:45 is a odd time to jump in.
Yeah, and I think, excuse me, we were doing noon for so long.
Yeah.
Even when we were meeting in person at 11:45, the 11:45 was just show up and start eating the food. It wasn't like the meeting begins.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's really true. So if everyone's okay, I'm just gonna wait a bit till we get some more people. Who's here from IBRPD?
Hey Ronnie, it's Luis here.
Hi, Luis.
Hey.
I'm having trouble. I work off a PC at home and I'm working on a Mac here, and I'm having trouble getting to the agenda. Would someone mind putting, I have the first one that was sent out, but I don't have the revised one. Would someone mind putting it in the chat for me?
I only have it as an attachment to an email.
Okay, would you email it to me?
Yeah, I can do that.
I'm sorry. I need some one-on-one time with the Mac.
Rodney, R. Gould at UCSB or Rodney G at AS?
Either one works. They both go to the same place.
Okay. That is on its way.
Thank you. Jade, do you happen to know if Jonathan is coming today?
I don't know for sure either way.
Right now he has screen sharing is disabled. Do you know, is there anyone else with admin that can change that setting? Well, we have 19 on, so I think we can go ahead and get started. Thanks for sharing the agenda, Jay. We actually have Lucille Boss from the county coming to do a presentation, and she's going to need to be able to share her screen.
Yeah, I'll label that
I
when
can't-
it's time so that nobody randomly shares their screen like a Zoom bomb.
Oh, Jonathan's here. Great. Problem solved.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, I was just trying to make sure you were going to be here and asking if anyone else had the permissions. But anyway, no, that's good that it's closed in general. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. We'll start with the welcome and land acknowledgement. Great to see you all. We'd like to acknowledge that this meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Chumash people and pay our respects to both elders past and present. We honor the traditional territory as well the story and contributions of the Chumash people to the land upon which we gather and create. Let's go ahead and go around and do introductions, and I'll just call on people in the order I see them on my screen. So we're going to start with you, Gary.
Oh, thanks, Rodney. I think it's been 2 Ivcn meetings that we missed. So I guess I'll introduce myself. Gary Gaston, he, him, his for pronouns. UCSB Police Department. I'm on the community outreach team. And since commencement, and I think prior to that, I might have been on vacation and missed a meeting. So kind of some of the important things with us, I guess, is we're currently just wrapped up some agency-wide anti-hate crime.
Gary?
Yes.
Sorry, we're just doing the introductions, and we'll get to you on the on the report down further in the agenda, if that's
Oh,
okay.
okay. Sorry, I just doing a check-in and announcement.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, if you have an announcement, I apologize. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was just going to say that we just wrapped up some training with regards to anti-hate crimes and an emphasis on anti-Asian violence. Also, Derek Marzano, who you may remember, he was on our team as a civilian. He's just went through police academy, currently in FTO. So that's pretty much it.
All right. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.
Jay?
I'm Jay Freeman. I'm on the board of the Isla Vista Community Service District and the Local Latency Information Commission, though I'm here in my personal capacity representing neither of them today.
Thank you. Kirsten Cahoon.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Cahoon. I'm the Director of Homeless Services for the Good Samaritan Shelter.
Thank you. Ash.
Hi, I'm Ash, they, them. I'm here in a personal capacity. I'm one of the IVRPD board directors, and I work with EcoVista on projects like the food forest and circular economy. And I'm happy to be here with you all today.
And we're happy you're here too. Jackie.
Hi, everybody. Jackie Krida. I'm here representing UCSB Student Health, Alcohol and Drug Program. I'm the director of the program. Nice to see everybody.
Thank you. Gina.
Gina Fisher, just stuck here now. I work for 3rd District County Supervisor Joan Hartman.
I have a way of doing that. I did that to Jackie as well. Elizabeth.
Hi, so I'm Elizabeth Bebo. I'm an AmeriCorps member, and I do outreach in Isla Vista and Santa Barbara, and I work mostly getting people document ready.
Thank you. Luis.
Luis, Recreation Coordinator for the Isla Vista Recreation and Park District. Super excited. This summer, we're starting to work on the various events in the parks. We're looking to host a concert series later in the parks. We're also in discussions right now with the Magic Lanterns to bring back movies in the park. So looking forward to all that fun stuff. We'll make a formal announcement once we have all the dates lined up for you guys.
That's great. Elisa. Lisa from the Food Co-op.
So Rodney, she just wrote into the chat. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh.
She indicated that her headphone just broke. So she can barely hear, and she said she would check in through the chat today. Sorry.
All right. Well, we're glad you're here, Lisa. Mark.
Hi everyone, Mark him, his. I am a just recent graduate from UCSB and a passionate community member from of Isla Vista, and transit and transportation advocate. Yeah.
Thanks, Mark. Daniela.
Hi, my name is Daniela, and I'm also an AmeriCorps member with Elizabeth.
Thank you. Aaron Jones.
Hey y'all, Aaron Jones, he, him, his pronouns. I'm the director of the Education Opportunity Program at UCSB. No announcements. Good to see y'all. It's been a minute.
Anna Jensen.
Hi everyone, I'm Anna Jensen from UCSB's Isla Vista Arts. Nice to be here.
Welcome. Jonathan.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jonathan. I'm with the Community Services District.
Thank you. Let's see, Elizabeth, I think I already did. Things are skipping around on my screen here. Christina, did you already do your
Hi, I'm Christina. United Ways Home for Good, and we have the AmeriCorps members and the Isla Vista Beautiful program.
Thank you. Kimberly?
Hi, everybody. This is Kimberly Kiefer. I'm the Isla Vista Recreation and Park District's General Manager. Really good to be here. Thanks for having us.
Good to have you. Lucille.
Hi, folks. Lucille Bosch, Sheher Aya, and I'm with the County of Santa Barbara Community Services Department and Housing and Community Development Homeless Services team, and I'll be presenting an update about some of our activities in Isla Vista a little bit later.
Thank you. Spencer.
Hi, everyone. I'm Spencer Brandt. I'm the president of the Isla Vista Community Services District. Great to see you all.
Thanks, Spencer. Joan.
Joan Hartman, 3rd District County Supervisor.
Thanks, Joan. Katya.
Hi, everybody. I'm doing a double dip right now. Katya Armistead, Assistant Vice Chancellor, Dean of Student Life. And Kim Equinoa will be jumping back on. She's on this other meeting, Associate Dean in Office of Student Life. And Viviana Marsano will be joining back too. She's got a long title, but an Isla Vista liaison. So we're here just joining 2 meetings.
Okay, thank you. Did I miss anybody, or did anyone show up while I was on the other page? I think that's it. So I guess the first thing on our agenda is the presentation on the new shelter opening on El Colegio from Lucille Boss. And Jonathan, if you could open up screen sharing for her, would be great.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, give me just a minute. I have several presentations open. Let's see. Okay, can everybody see the screen okay?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you all again for having us back to give an update about emergency shelter in Isla Vista. So today we'll be giving an update, essentially the who, what, when, where, why, how of emergency shelter in Isla Vista. Specifically the need, the ongoing need for emergency shelter in Isla Vista, the solution that is in action already, a 50-bed shelter with housing navigation services. We'll review the timeline, funding, operations, and clients to be served. And because I remember this group being super awesome, how you can help if you would like to get involved. And I'll also note that if you attended a recent meeting of the Isla Vista Community Services District, the slides are pretty much exactly the same, except with some updates about the pallet shelter outcomes with final figures. So I'll first turn it over to Kirsten Cahoon, who I think many of you know pretty well by now from the pallet shelters in Isla Vista, and she'll review the statistics that are outlined on the slide.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. It's good to see everybody. So our pallet shelter project has come to an end 2 Fridays ago, and it was a very successful project that I just really feel grateful and fortunate to have been a part of, and excited to continue this work in the Isla Vista community. So some of our most proud outcomes from the Isla Vista pallet shelter is we served a total of 41 people throughout the 6-month project. We had 27 successful exits, 22 went into permanent housing, 1 was reunified with family, 2 went into residential treatment, and 2 went in our Safe House program, which is actually a safe house for adult survivors of human trafficking in Santa Maria. 100% of the clients that we worked with became document ready. And if you know much about the homeless community, it is the most difficult thing to do is to get these folks document ready, especially during COVID. There were so many roadblocks with getting social security cards and IDs and income verifications and all the things that are really needed to get folks into housing. So we have some great complete files on these clients now that we're going to be able to upload in the homeless management system. So these documents will always be there for them, which is really a huge success. We connected 100% of our clients to mainstream benefits, things like CalFresh, general relief, ensuring that they have health insurance, and working really closely with the Department of Social Services on that. 3 of them secured employment. 10 of them began receiving medically assisted treatment or outpatient treatment for drug and alcohol services. Probably about 90% of the folks that came to us were struggling with substance abuse issues. So that was one of course, our biggest barriers, was trying to help them navigate that system. We were able to recognize 3 veterans and connect them with the veteran services, which ultimately led to their housing. 5 of our clients received respite care after surgery. They had severe medical needs that weren't able to be addressed while they were in the encampments. So once they were in a stable place and had a stable place to come back to recover to, they were able to take care of these medical needs that needed attention. So 2 of our residents received dentures. So they're smiling big and bright now, which was a beautiful thing to watch. And 12 of our clients actually received mainstream vouchers. So these are Section 8 vouchers for folks with disabilities. So it's an ongoing housing subsidy. And we were able to place them in housing with these vouchers that they will be able to carry on with them for as long as they need them. So very successful project, great outcomes. We're super excited to continue watching the success of the clients. The ones we placed in housing, we continue to follow throughout their housing and continue to case manage them for up to a year. So we will be making sure that they also have a success moving forward in housing.
Thanks, Kirsten. And I want to underscore the document readiness process for folks who aren't as familiar. And I know AmeriCorps members just referenced working on getting folks document ready. For most of us who are stably housed, we can easily access our forms of ID, Social Security card, or recent pay stubs, and other really critical documents if we are searching for additional stable housing. But for folks who are unhoused, it may be difficult to keep all of those documents together. So it's a huge win to see 100% of the folks are now document ready, especially through COVID-19 and a lot of closures, especially with Social Security and DMV. So just a huge thank you to everybody who played a part in that. So I want to note and emphasize that emergency shelter is a high priority in Isla Vista and in the Isla Vista unincorporated area of the county, with approximately 80 persons unhoused in need of shelter. And unsafe conditions for persons remaining unsheltered include risk of fire, impacts on public recreation areas and the environment, safety of the greater Isla Vista community and visitors, and concern for the health and safety of those who are experiencing homelessness. These concerns have been identified through an increase in calls for law enforcement service, the need for sanitation services and removal of biohazard, and the deterioration of parks due to work delays or cancellations caused by encampment activity. And there is a need for a contracted service provider, or there was, to coordinate and operate emergency shelter and temporary housing in or near the Isla Vista community. So we are really excited to announce, you'll see it on the slide, that the project is being named for Father John. So it's Hedges House of Hope, and we worked with the family to make sure that we had that permission. So it is really the project name, but Good Samaritan Shelter will be operating the 50-bed shelter to address homelessness in Isla Vista. The site is a 20-room dorm-style building, which includes technically up to 60 bed areas with multiple bathrooms, a large kitchen, and a dining area. And the county is entering into a lease, or has entered into a lease, with an option to purchase the site from the owner. Funding is provided by state and federal sources, and the use of the site for a homeless shelter is consistent with current entitlements and permits issued by County Planning and Development Department. County officials and Good Samaritan Shelter are here to and available to present at any other community meetings, as we did with Isla Vista Community Services District earlier in June and today. The goal of the facility is to provide a secure and safe temporary housing option for individuals experiencing homelessness, where they can stabilize their lives through the provision of wraparound on-site care to help transition them into permanent housing. You'll see the timeline here. It seems like June 15th was a very long time ago. But on that day, the County Board of Supervisors approved the lease and subrecipient agreement. So the lease is for the physical site and the subrecipient agreement for the operations with Good Samaritan Shelter. And then the second half of June, construction to make sure that there was ADA compliance and some other landscaping improvements took place. And then July 1, which is just last week, operations began. We always try to outline the funding sources, so you know what is paying for what. So I'll note that the lease is covered by the Homeless Housing Assistance and Prevention Program, funds that were dedicated for a navigation center. So that's why this is a navigation center. And Kirsten will talk a bit about that as well. A potential purchase, the funding may come from the American Rescue Plan Act. The ADA compliance and construction there came from the Homeless Housing Assistance and Prevention Program, again, the Navigation Center funds. And operations is covered in part by Emergency Solutions Grant and CARES or coronavirus, as well as those HHAP funds. Both of those sources are allocated through the state of California to provide essential services and operate an emergency shelter. I'll hand it back over to Kirsten to talk a bit more about really who is Good Samaritan, in case you're not familiar, a bit about their history, capacity, and the other great work that they've done.
Thank you. So Good Samaritan has been in existence for over 30 years. We operate about 23, probably closer to 25 different locations now throughout the county. We run emergency shelters in both Santa Maria and Lompoc. We have a 90-bed emergency shelter in Santa Maria and a 60-bed emergency shelter in Lompoc. We also run family shelters. We have drug and alcohol treatment. We have mental health services, and we run a supportive services for veteran families program and a GPD, a grant per diem program for veterans in both Santa Barbara County and San Luis Obispo County. So we have been down here in the South County since about the beginning of the year when we actually opened some step down housing in Santa Barbara, and then also the sobering center, which has been definitely very well utilized in the area. So that was kind of our first projects in Santa Barbara, and since then we were able to operate the Isla Vista pop-up shelter and now the Hedges House of Hope. So Good Sam has been around for a long time. We are the largest homeless provider, and having our own mental health department and our own drug and alcohol department is really beneficial to us too, so that we're able to utilize those services to make sure that we wrap around our clients. We also operate several permanent housing facilities in Santa Maria and in Lompoc, and have outpatient drug and alcohol services in both locations as well. So we're excited to be here in South County and to be, getting to know everybody and learn a little bit more of the services down here and how Good Sam can be of service.
Thank you. And I'll note that we have a formal referral process training and discussion happening with service providers who are serving in Isla Vista tomorrow. But Kirsten, would you mind sharing a bit more about the referral process and how folks can be served?
Sure. So here at the Hedges House of Hope, we are not a drop-in or a walk-up service shelter. So what we ask is that clients receive a referral. So referrals can come from outreach workers, they can come from behavioral wellness, the drug and alcohol treatment providers that are out in the field, AmeriCorps members, and all the different outreach providers and providers throughout. And it's really important. So they make an emailed referral to us, and then we go ahead and just ensure that there's the Isla Vista Goleta connection. We are a shelter here to serve your community, and it's important that any clients that come here have that connection with this community. So that referral also goes to the county homeless services, who checks it in our homeless management information system as well, to ensure that they can definitely see the connection to this community. So it's a little it's a little bit of a process, but it's a quick process. We can definitely, there's no delay in anyone accessing shelter. They can send me an email and I can get the referral pretty much immediately and can get them moved in within the first 24 hours of them seeking out shelter. So it's definitely not a barrier to entrance.
Thank you. And if somebody is in need of a referral, they can call the coordinated entry line. And it sounds like, Kirsten, they can also contact you directly.
Yes.
Behavioral wellness is part of the coordinated entry system. So all of those agencies would also be referring to coordinated entry. But if you want to skip a phone call, directly to the coordinated entry line or to Kirsten for referrals. Now, my favorite, well, one of my favorite slides, really how can you help? So there are some great ways for folks to get involved if you would like to, especially around outreach as we are launching emergency housing vouchers. So for folks who haven't heard, our community through the American Rescue Plan Act was awarded 215 emergency housing vouchers through both the County Housing Authority and the Housing Authority of the City of Santa Barbara. So those vouchers are being referred and reviewed by the housing authorities now. And in order to make sure that we're taking advantage of all the funding and services that are connected to emergency housing vouchers, folks do need to be leased up, meaning placed in their permanent housing by November 1st. So there's a huge push for that. And Kirsten, do you mind talking a bit more about some items that folks may donate and what we see as the future?
Sure. So we definitely always take things like hygiene products, towels, blankets, socks, new underwear. We are creating a clothing closet here at the new shelter, and it will also have some interview clothing and things like that. So we're always taking the kind of the regular shelter donations, but we are also providing all the meals for our clients. So at most of all of our other shelters, we have a wonderful system in providing our dinners where like community groups are allowed to pick a day out of the month. Like the public defender's office would have the third Monday of the month, and they would provide dinner on that day for the shelter. So because it is, a huge financial piece to provide, this many meals to, especially once we're at capacity, that we really always kind of look to the community to help us with support in that way. So if that's something that anyone would be interested in, different clubs at UC Santa Barbara, or any ideas that folks have that from people that might be interested in being part of our meal team, we would definitely appreciate that. And we look forward to kind of building that in the months to come as we increase our capacity here.
And as Kirsten noted, especially related to donations, if it comes to interview clothing, a lot of the pieces of this being a navigation center include different services that are offered. So case management, employment assistance, job training, outpatient health services, other treatment services, assessments, transportation. So a lot of those pieces are coming together at this site, and we're really excited to see it progress.
Looks like we have a question from Jackie.
Oh, sure.
Thanks. Thanks for all this information. You mentioned there was a training tomorrow for information about referring, if I'm correct. Is
So
that
this
a training?
Sorry to cut you off. It's specifically for service providers who are doing the referrals and assessments in Isla Vista. So that's, does that answer your question? Sorry to cut you off.
It does. I'm just affiliated with the New Beginnings Counseling Center, and so I just wondered if since I know they work with a number of Isla Vista tenants through their safe parking program, I just wondered if they were informed about the training.
They were.
They were? Perfect. Yes. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. So, and that perfect queue up to any questions. So I'll stop sharing and ask if there are any other questions about Hedges House of Hope or about this property or the project, or if you have other ways that you want to connect.
I have one quick thing, not to be a downer, But before it's officially the Hedges House of Hope, the Board of Supervisors will be adopting later this summer a name building protocol for all county-owned buildings. And so we are eager to get that adopted. And then shortly thereafter, we hope that this will move forward with the naming as stated.
Yes, thank you. So for now, that's why we're saying it's just the project. It's just the program is Hedges House of Hope. We got ahead of ourselves because we got really excited. Other questions from folks?
Jackie, is your hand up from before, or you have another question? All right, Ash.
Well, first, I just want to say thank you for everything you're doing. I'm really, really happy that this is going to be a navigation center here. The question I have might be kind of a downer, but I've been really curious, so I'm going to ask it anyway. About the pallet shelter. Like, what's the number of people who left and like didn't have a successful entry? And if you don't mind sharing, like, what were the obstacles that led them to leave? Thanks.
Sure. So there was approximately about 10 folks that came in and out of the pallets in those 6 months that did not have a successful exit from the program. Like any of our programs, there are some rules that have to be in place. Our biggest rules were that there were no drugs and alcohol allowed on the premises for the safety of our staff and for the safety of the other clients. So if that rule was broken, a client would have been exited. And then also half of the group that didn't make it just disappeared and didn't come back, and like from one night to the next. And we did have a rule that if they were gone for a straight 48 hours, then their pallet would be given up to somebody else, because there were so many folks on the wait list waiting to come in that we had to ensure that we knew where they were at and that they actually wanted that space. So those were kind of the two big ones that were the reasons that folks were exited. We also have a zero tolerance for physical violence in any of our Good Samaritan programs. So if a client became physically violent with a staff member, with our security guard, or with another client, then they would be asked to leave. And so those were kind of the only reasons that folks weren't successful. And we did still continue, some of the folks that did leave the program unsuccessfally, we continued to outreach to, and made sure that when the mainstream voucher came up, that we still got their applications done. And there's still several of them that I've been trying to connect with and make sure that they're getting their mail and all of those things. So we definitely try to continue to engage with them, and that doesn't disclude them from accessing services here at the Hedges House of Hope. If there was somebody that we had to exit due to physical violence, I'm going to say that that's probably not somebody that I would bring into this shelter, because that's just a biggie for us for the safety of our staff. We hired an amazing staff of mostly UC Santa Barbara students, and it was really cool to watch them kind of get their feet wet in a service position like this, and really learn a lot. And so, us protecting our staff is as important as protecting our clients. So, but there are clients that were, who left the pallets and didn't finish the program, but are now interested in coming into the Hedges House of Hope, that we will definitely work with and give them. We're all about second chances, so, and third and fourth. So.
And the pallet shelters will continue to serve folks. I haven't seen it since dirt was being moved around, but they have been moved to Bridge House property up on the outskirts of Lompoc. So those units will continue to serve folks through Good Samaritan.
Great. Mark, you have a question?
Yeah, just two questions. Well, one, I need to say I love this project. I'm so so happy to see it moving forward. So don't think I'm critiquing that whatsoever, because I think it's so fantastic. My two questions are, one is a little nitpicky. So when this when one of your previous slides was presented to the IVCSD, it showed 27 successful exits out of 39 residents, and this one now shows 27 out of 41. And I'm wondering if that discrepancy could be explained. And my other question is, for people who have been violent in the past, where are they? Like, what is the recourse kind of for them within the state or the county? Maybe Good Samaritan can't kind of handle them, but are they just to go back to the streets? I would love to understand what is available for those people, because I think despite issues, they are still deserving of hope.
Sure. So first, I noted, you may not have been on yet, but I know at the beginning of the presentation that the stats had been updated from the IVCSD presentation. So that was done before the end of the project. So that was done in June. So we have the final stats up and ready. And actually, we may have even additional updates. Typically, reports are due about 20 days after the completion of a project. So we may continue to update stats, and as Good Samaritan has continued to serve folks, other stats, especially when it comes to placements with mainstream vouchers, those may also be updated. So it was a good update. And then Kirsten, I don't want to speak for any state agency, and I don't know that Kirsten does either, but I don't know if you have any insights.
You know, I would just say that if a client, had an issue with Good Samaritan, it has never precluded them in any other situation to receive services at another service provider. I don't think that would cause them to not be able to receive services. And, we would still continue to assist in connecting them if they, are referred here and they're seeking shelter and they would like to go to shelter and it's somebody that we cannot serve for that reason. We will do everything we can to connect them with a provider that is able to serve them. There's several service providers in Santa Barbara. So if they had an issue in one of our programs, it does not usually reflect at all in other programs, the same as if somebody comes to us that may have had an issue at another provider. We don't check to see if, if they've had an issue prior before we would allow them in. It's a fresh slate for us. And I'm pretty sure that that's how it is for all the other programs. And I agree, everyone deserves a chance. And, that's definitely our goal and our motto as well. And it's very rare that any physical violence occurs to where we do have to, not be able to provide services. It's extremely rare. I've been doing this for over 10 years, and it's a handful of folks that I would say this would pertain to.
I just want to jump in real quickly. I never miss a chance to say a huge thank you to the County Community Services Department and Good Samaritan for partnering to make this happen. This is such an incredible project the Pallet Village has been in the Hedges House of Hope. And when we talk about better serving our homeless neighbors and solving homelessness, as it's referred to, I mean, we're looking the solution right in the face. It's you all, you're incredible staff. And I'm just very grateful that Isla Vista is able to be the proving ground for such incredible services that I think really are going to change the world and change California. So thank you for everything that you all do so much.
Yeah, and I want to echo that, Spencer. It's amazing what y'all have done in the past year, and looking so forward to what you're going to be, what this new shelter is going to provide. I have a son who lives in Portland, and he says there's nothing, at least that he can see. Is a big encampment right across the street from his house. There's really no resources available to them that he's aware of. It's such a big problem. So I love that, we could, or you all could create a template for things that can happen in other places. So anyway, thank you for that.
And this is Joan. If I might add, the idea really came from the community of Isla Vista. Can we provide some kind of permanent, or that is something like the pallets or camp? Sorry, we have a repairman here at my house. But could we provide something like that? And so we we went back and talked to our community services department, and they talked to Good Sam, and it unfolded. And now we have the Hedges House of Hope, which Gina describes as like a permanent pallet house. So that's.
Thank you. I did have one question. I know you said it's a temporary housing facility. What will be the length of time people are allowed to stay there?
I think Kirsten is probably better versed in this, but it's not permanent. So the idea is always that there's a transition time from unsheltered homelessness into a sheltering option. So that's where they can get focus on the document readiness process, any services, any connections with mainstream resources that they may need. I know that timing varies from person to person depending on what housing interventions are available to them as well. But Kirsten, I feel like you probably know the average length of time.
Sure. So we are going to model this after our other shelters, and our shelters are 90-day shelters. But there's a caveat to that. We all know that statistics have shown that it takes on average about 6 months to get somebody ready for housing as far as documents go, and get them referred to housing. So we do start as a 90-day shelter. Every client creates an individualized service plan where they set goals for themselves, and they set totally client-focused, client-based. They own the goals. They decide what those goals are, and they create like 30-day, 60-day, 90-day goals. So if these clients are on task and working towards these goals and making progress and working with their case management, at the end of 90 days, we do month-to-month extensions at that point. Our goal is to have everyone exit here into housing or into family reunification is a big one. Sometimes folks, have family in another state that they just need to reconnect with, and they have a place that they could be. So we work on all of those things during that time. But the initial stay is a 90-day stay, and then we'll continue on with extensions.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions? All right, well, thank you very much. That was a lot of really great information, and exciting to hear that the efforts are being so successful and that we're moving forward with more. So thanks very much. We'll move on to our next agenda item, and that's the 3rd District Supervisor's Office report.
Joan, did you have anything else? I think that was going to be the bulk of our presentation. So I think we're happy to take any questions anybody has about anything county related or COVID related or anything else.
That's exactly right. With the 4th of July holiday, the board didn't meet, so there's not a lot to report from the board itself. And we go into the summer recess starting in mid-July, so it'll be a quiet time.
Okay, thank you. Then we will move into Associated Students in Isla Vista. I suppose I'm the only representative here. Let's see. Yeah, there's not a lot going on. We're in the process of, the university's in the process of trying to establish protocols for reopening some of the campus and the Pardall Center so we can start providing services, but that is all under discussion in rooms that are way above my pay grade. But we're anxiously waiting to get started. And then there was an announcement today that the Charles Munger housing, I don't know if anyone saw that in the, I think it was in the Nexus, but they're looking at moving forward and building or at least going through the process and the public process of building an 11-story housing complex for students that can house up to 5,000 people. So they're hoping that that process will get moving pretty quickly. And there might be others on this call who know more about that than I do.
Rodney, have they identified a location for that? Because I know that was part of the question or the contentiousness. prior.
Yeah, what they're looking at right now is relocating facilities maintenance and the transportation center and putting it in that location.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. The Isla Vista Community Service District report, please.
Hey everyone, great to see you all. I can share a couple of updates. So we, at our last meeting, we're very excited to, well, over our last two meetings, provide some funding for the St. George Youth Center and Isla Vista Youth Projects for their amazing childcare and after-school programming services that they'll be providing in the summer periods to give our youth in Isla Vista something exciting and fun to do during the summer. Just so important. So big shout out to SGYC and IVYP for providing those vital services to the community. We, at our last meeting, adopted our preliminary budget, which has a lot of great things in it. In many ways, we are continuing most of the programs that you are all familiar with us for. The Isla Vista Compost Collective, which we actually just hired a new coordinator for that program specifically that'll be starting this week. So that's a really cool update as well. Hoping to get that program expanded into more households over this next year. And you can find out more information on that on our website. In addition to that, our programs with UCPD for the safety stations that are out on Friday and Saturday nights, partnership utilizing the CSO officers. We are working with UCPD both to continue the program into the next year, but also to expand the program to additional locations, just to really have that presence from CSOs in Isla Vista. They're not just there to help you get a safe walk home, but they're there to give you some water if you need water. They can help you charge your phone with a phone charging station. All sorts of great things there. In addition to that, our rental housing mediation program is also continued for next year, as is our community center programming. So we are actually going to be considering a job description at our next board of directors meeting, which is on July 13th, but that is fully funded in our budget, along with $25,000 worth of budget just for programming that we provide in our facilities. So as we reopen, that really is the biggest step, I think, to reopening, is getting that excellent programming back and up in the community. And in addition to that, I will also share that one of the big projects that the district is going to be undertaking over the next year is the STEP grant. So some of you may be familiar with this, but it's the sustainable, I forget what the acronym is, equity in transportation planning. And it's going to produce a community mobility plan that looks at all the different ways that people in Isla Vista get around, whether it's as a pedestrian, walking, skateboarding, biking, public transit, and also private vehicles. And so that plan is going to have a really robust community outreach portion to it. And that will be headed in large part by our new community engagement director, which is a position that we are in the hiring process of right now, and hoping to have that position fully filled and started at the beginning of next month. And so that process will include a number of different ways that people can get involved, both with public workshops and hearings. We're also going to have a really big community outreach component where there's going to be survey canvassers that will go around and speak with residents in their homes about the ways that they get around in Isla Vista. And it will culminate with different pop-up demonstration projects, which will be determined by the process in terms of what that could be. But I know there have been so many different ideas in Isla Vista over the last couple of years about how we can make our community more friendly to pedestrians, bikes, and public transit. We've talked about the ideas such as closing down certain streets to car traffic. There's been the discussion about a bike share, or just making things more friendly for bikes, more bike lanes. So that's the kind of thing that sort of a pop-up demonstration project potentially could be. But that will all be decided within the public process. I just use that as an example. There's also going to be really a lot of heavy engagement with community organizations. So if you are a community organization or know someone that is, that will be on the lookout over the next probably 2 or 3 months is when you'll get reached out to as part of that process. But really it's starting the conversation about how do we put down some actionable strategies to make getting around in Isla Vista more sustainable and more easy to choose those sustainable options when it comes to getting around. So I think those are the big updates that I have to share. Jonathan, feel free to add on anything that I missed that you think would be good to share.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of updates right now. Lots of internal stuff going on, like hiring and our year-end accounting, but the budget was a good overview.
We have a question from Jackie.
Thanks. Thanks for that update. Great stuff. And Rodney, I was going to ask you this directly, but I wasn't sure if you could see the chat. So wondering if the UCIV student volunteer program is being kind of restarted again, or where that might be.
The answer is yes, as soon as the university will allow it, basically.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's budgeted for, and so we're hoping that it'll start in the fall with a lot of other things that open up.
Okay, terrific. So obviously we're here to offer any kind of trainings or information. I know it was at one point initially a collaboration between our ADP program, health and wellness, the CARE program. So whatever way we can support the student training, we're certainly happy to do that.
That's great. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay.
And Jackie, I'm glad you brought that up because UCIV is such an incredible program. And we recently spoke about it at one of our CSD meetings because we had a presentation from the SNAP program in the city of San Luis Obispo. So SNAP stands for Student Neighborhood Assistance Program. And similar to the way that UCIV worked, it's all about peer-to-peer outreach from students and student age non-sworn officers that are dispatched to neighborhood and quality of life type of calls. So mainly things like noise complaints. They have other responsibilities too about parking enforcement and graffiti abatement, but really they serve as that first contact when there is sort of a neighborhood type of issue. And I know just from volunteering with UCIV in the past, how valuable it is with residents are throwing a party and being loud that they get that contact from someone who's a student and can just help educate them about what the ordinances are and how they can stay safe, how they can stay out of enforcement action from law enforcement. So it's definitely a conversation that our district is very interested in continuing. And I think in many ways, very much in the vein of what the community service officers already kind of provide to the community, but maybe the next step up from that.
Yeah, and I thought City College might have adopted a SNAP program, maybe the same name or just a variation on that. And just to follow up with a little bit more information relative to your comment about peer-to-peer and so on, we're expanding the information that the ADP program is offering about the Just Call 911 program, considering all of the concerns and hesitations that students and community members might have in making a call for help and emergency help. So we're expanding the information, which we'll make very available via social media and so on, about not only how to make the call and why to make the call, but also how to prepare for first responders and law enforcement, how to keep yourself safe, how to keep the people in your environment safe, and just a little bit more awareness about again, reasons why people might hesitate, but also encouraging people to, make the appropriate call when it's needed and prepare properly for the arrival of first responders. So, I'll maybe bring some of that information here to this group when we're more developed with it, and would really appreciate people's feedback on it so it's appropriate for the community.
That would be great. Joan, you had your hand up. Do you still have something?
Oh, I was just the UCIV and then the ambassadors through the wellness program seem to me to be kind of linked in. I think of it as good citizenship, or kind of getting information. It's broader than safety narrowly considered. It's more how to live well in Isla Vista, and maybe there's a need for some coordination. I know Foot Patrol was very interested in an ambassador program, and then we find out Health and Wellness is doing, and they're able to be in the community. They were active during COVID with tabling, and so it seems to me that they're kind of related. And one of the keys, I think, with UCIV was that it was all volunteer for the people who did it, and maybe people actually need to be paid, and that, I gather, is true with the Health and Wellness. So I think it needs broader discussion, maybe how to coordinate all of this.
Yeah, no, those are good points. So yeah, I think we'll have to have those discussions, Jackie and Spencer, and anyone else who, yeah, maybe we come back with an agenda item to that effect.
I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah. Anything else on that? All right, thank you, Spencer. Law enforcement and IV.
Well, from UCPD, we don't have anything as it relates to Isla Vista as far as updates or anything. I don't believe Justin is on the call.
Yeah, he's not here. Was UCPD out on 4th of July in the community?
Yes, minimally, we would have had our normal patrol officers out there. I don't know if I know we had officers on patrols, obviously supplemented with patrol. I just don't know what the numbers were as far as increasing patrol and presence or anything like that. I haven't heard of any incidents that have come out of our office that we were dealing with in the last meeting that we had about patrol. So,
all right, I can just say that it was extremely lively at my end of town, and tons of fireworks going off until the very wee hours. It sort of happens that way every year, but I do worry about the fire hazards down at my end. Anyway, I'll just throw that out there. Anybody have any questions for Gary? If not, this is time for open forum. Does anyone have any issues that they would like to discuss that they think require the attention of? I see some hands going up already. I think Ash, you were probably up first.
I'll just quickly make sure everyone knows if you're interested in the IVRPD board meeting, it's tonight at 5:30, and you can see the agenda and Zoom link on our website. And Luis has probably mentioned this before, but in case anybody hasn't done it yet, the Measure O survey is really important. Think of it as like the money for park survey. Please do that if you have any thoughts on it. What you like to use the parks for, what you think could improve the parks, and things like that. Thanks. And I put the links in the chat, and it's on our website. Thanks. In English and Espanol.
Thank you, Ash. Mark.
Yeah, just two things. One, I think like it seems like news has made its way around, but just so I feel like so the community's on the same page that there's a film being produced in Hollywood called Deltopia, centering on yeah, Joanna's reaction is kind of my reaction. Yeah, centering on Deltopia and high school teens. You know, I don't know the details of it, but I can't imagine it being a net positive for the community. I think Jonathan had a great Facebook post about it, but I just wanted to mention it, you know, just for everyone to be on the same page in the community. And the other thing is I wanted to put in, I just put a link in the chat to, it's like a map. Oh, Jackie put another link. My link's right above that. And it's a map from the county for the active transportation plan that's being done. There was a community feedback meeting last week, and a lot of the feedback for the community transportation plan for Isla Vista specifically will be done hand in hand with the STEP grant. But if you all have like specific like areas of focus that like this part of bike traffic is bad, or you know, there needs to be bigger sidewalks here, or whatever it needs to be, you can use this link that I put in the chat to actually pinpoint in Isla Vista areas that have good walkability, bad walkability, etc. So I just wanted to share that. That's it for me. Thanks, Rodney.
Thank you, Mark.
Hey, Rodney, if I could just add to that regarding the movie, it's called Deltopia. Actually, Tori brought this up the other day, and as we were looking into it, it was supposed to be about some young girls from Malibu who are making their venture up to Santa Barbara, and kind of chronicles the kind of mischief they get into, thus romanticizing the whole Deltopia experience. So our fondest hope is that it is low budget and doesn't get too many rounds in major metropolitan areas, but it'll and at first glance looks like it's an independent low budget type film. So we could all hope for the best, I guess.
Yeah, that's
Rodney, if I can.
Sure, Spencer.
This is Spencer. I just wanted to add in, I like so many others, I'm so disappointed that this project is moving forward. I think it's so exploitative of a dark time in our community. And the fact that the plot is centered around minors from out of town coming to our community and framing it as like a coming of age movie just really just adds so much insult. It's not what our community is. And I just wanted to share with everyone, because I know I've had a lot of contact from the community about this over the last couple of days, that myself and our board member, Catherine, are working on putting together an open letter that we're going to send to the producers and all the lead actors in this movie to really correct the record about what our community is about and what really happens in Isla Vista. And I just want to put an open offer out there to anyone on this call who's interested in participating on that, maybe being a signatory on that letter, or helping inform, really articulating what our values really are, because that movie is not Isla Vista values. We know what they are and they're not that. So I'm just going to throw my email and contact info in the chat for anyone who doesn't have it. But we will correct the record and show people what Isla Vista really is about.
Sounds good, Spencer. Thanks. You can put me down on your list as a signatory. Not that I carry a lot of weight, but
Hey, wait to me, Rodney.
Thank you, Spencer. Anybody else have anything that they would like to discuss? All right. I guess if there's nothing else, the next meeting date will be Thursday, August the 12th. If you have any agenda items, I will suggest the future collaboration and possible compensation discussion about the ambassadors and UCIV, and working with the CSOs and how that all goes, but I'll suggest that one. But if anyone has anything else, please send an email to Deanna or myself. Deanna's email is in the on the agenda. And also, if you know someone who wants to be added to, that you think should be included in our distribution list for when we're holding meetings, I'd appreciate you send us some emails for that, and we'll get them added as quickly as we can. And with that, it looks like we're all getting 15 minutes back to our day. And so,
Fine to give you two.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm just checking to see.
Joanna, is your
I'm so
mic-
sorry.
Okay, I didn't think that was meant for us. Okay. Anyway, thank you very much for coming, everybody, and we will see you next month. Have a great rest of the day and a weekend. All right, take care.